Hey there, Patriots. This is True Outlaw Patriot coming at you with another one. As everybody probably knows by now, Oprah and The Rock came out with a fundraising campaign of their own to try to help the people of Maui. And, you know, there's been so much anger, and even before, I should say, as soon as this thing started, people were putting out their own videos of how angry they were that that they just didn't feel right of what was going on. Throwing out Oprah's name out there, you know, from the beginning, and now, you know, she's over here trying. First, she was out there trying to pass pillows, and she got ridiculed for going out there saying she was going to help people, and people are pushing back on her. I mean, they keep mentioning her name in the community, you know, meetings. Her name, Jeff Bezos. I mean, so many names. You know, all these billionaires who their houses were never touched at all. But you know, it just baffles my mind that that all these celebrities that own property on Hawaii. I mean, you have Steven Tyler. Oh, man, the list goes on and on. I believe Will Smith. I mean, just so many names. And my thing is, where are they? You know, all these celebrities together. I mean, they easily can put an easy $100 million. Easily. You know, I mean, you're talking about some top dog celebrities that are worth. I mean, Oprah's worth well over $2 billion. The Rock's got to be worth at least, I mean, I don't know, over $100 million. You know, you get 10 celebrities, that's $1 million. Like, what is it to them? I mean, they spend more than that on their groceries in a week, or, you know, going to fancy restaurants in a week, you know. But anyway, I'm going to show you this video, and there's something in it that really bothers me, and I've been trying to say this in my other videos. Unfortunately, it seems like on another, it's funny, on this platform, for certain videos, I'll get a lot of views. On another platform, on Rumble, I won't get any. But then, on this platform, I'll get a few views. And for some odd reason, that same video on Rumble gets way more. And it's just strange to me. But then again, Rumble is, you know, is censor free. So it makes me wonder. But without dragging this on too long, I want to just thank the new subscribers and everyone for checking out my content. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, leave a thumbs up, pass this around. And let's just get into this, and you'll see what I'm talking about.
The People's Fund of Maui.
After seeing Oprah and The Rock's video, people have been lighting up social media with their opinions.
Oprah is guaranteeing, it's on her word. The last time I checked, unless the news is lying to me, that Oprah's house wasn't even touched. People are having a tough time trusting. Well, Rock, why do you think people are having a tough time trusting when $12 billion still hasn't been sent there? But check this out. I just read today that the $12 billion is off the table. You two are so full of crap. Rock says the number one need is money. And we need money in hand right now. So my suggestion is, Rock and Oprah, between the money that you guys are both worth and the money that both of you earn, forget about the crap of this donational thing. Go into your own banks, dip into your own wallet. You guys can come up with a lot more money than $95 million.
3 weeks later, and officials still have not provided a death toll and still no update on all of the missing children and those 15 missing school buses. Sadly, the Maui massacre is already third-page news. A very
All right, I'm just going to jump in it right now. This is what I've been trying to say on my videos about all those missing children. I didn't know this about the missing school buses, but it just makes perfect sense, people. Okay? Like I said in my last couple of, a few videos ago, that, the mainstream media will talk about it every day. Now it's every other day. Now it's going to be, once a week, until people, they just try to phase it out. Where are the officials when, where is the media when it comes to questioning, the school bus drivers. I mean, it has to be all hands on deck. Everybody needs to be held accountable until they can figure out who did what, and then they can just start saying, okay, you wasn't accountable. You know what I mean? You have to bring everybody in. And it just blows my mind that, that the natives are being pushed back on by the police, by, the politicians, by the media. And yet, I even have some people leaving comments, trying to nobody's getting on my case, but it's almost as if they're trying to persuade me to not believe my own eyes and ears. And I've been noticing on a lot of content creators videos, and they're talking about it too, that people are leaving comments as if trying to tell them otherwise. And I'm not beginning. I already knew from the get that probably was going to happen. There's going to be people out there pretending to be somebody that they're not. I mean, they're plants, and they're put in to try to stray people away. But people need to keep pushing hard. And I understand that some celebrities are out there trying to make more money off of this, and trying to show face and all that. But the truth of the matter is, where are the celebrities asking these questions? How come the celebrities are not siding with the people? They care so much. Side with the people. Ask these questions to the governor, the mayor, to the police chief, to the politicians. How come there's not more politicians in Hawaii? Why is there still a media blackout? How come nobody's really heard from anybody else on the other parts of the island? On all the other islands, I should say. And yet still, no word on the children. No word on the bus drivers. I mean, the story keeps flipping back and forth about school was out. People took their kids to school. People are coming out crying, saying, no, that's a lie. They called me to go pick up my child. Where are the rest of the kids? I mean, the only thing, like I said, that I believe, in all honesty, those kids were taken. It's either that, or these people have so much shame that all those children perished. And they don't, and they're just ashamed because they know that they dropped the ball. But let's continue, man.
Disturbing article came out from Daily Mail with the headline, Maui fire victims have napalm-like injuries similar to those seen in World War II or Vietnam, as cadaver dogs are brought in to search for 1,000 missing after worst national disaster to hit Hawaii in 60 years. We're going to read through this together, but for those who don't know, we're going to find out what exactly is napalm. According to the Oxford dictionaries, napalm is a highly flammable substance which consists of an amalgamation of a gelling substance with inflammable petrochemicals such as petrol or diesel, and is formulated to adhere to surfaces. During World War II and the Vietnam War, napalm was used in flamethrowers, bombs, and tanks. It is formulated to burn at a specific rate, usually ranging between 1470 to 2190 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, so back to the article, which says the victims and survivors of Maui's wildfires have been left with napalm-like injuries, the likes of which haven't been seen since the Vietnam War, according to rescue teams now tasked with combing through the incinerated rubble of Lahaina. Michael Havoc Thomas, a military veteran who owns and operates HAVOC, a private rescue and training company in Hawaii, gave a harrowing description of the reality of the devastation. The news will not be able to show you the real survivors or the real victims. It's very World War II flamethrowers and Vietnam napalm-like. That is not an exaggeration. Hawaii boasts what the state describes as the largest integrated outdoor all-hazard public safety warning system in the world, with about 400 sirens positioned across the island chain to alert people to various natural disasters and other threats. But many survivors said they didn't hear any sirens or receive a warning that gave them enough time to prepare and only realize they were in danger danger when they saw flames or heard explosions nearby.
To that end, when I was on the island last week, I appointed Bob Fenton, one of the nation's leading emergency managers, and I mean that's not hyperbole, who's been on the ground in Hawaii since before the fires erupted as our chief federal response coordinator.
This week, we heard Joe Biden saying he appointed Bob Fenton as the main point man for the Maui disaster. Fenton, who was not only on the ground since before the fire, but was also in attendance at a natural disaster seminar 3 months ago in Maui with all of the other senior elected officials.
Now, what's the coincidence of that? You know? Another thing that came to mind, I just didn't want to say it. I haven't heard it from anybody else anywhere. So if anybody hears about it, you're hearing about it from me first, most likely. But on a couple of videos ago, when I showed two guys that were driving, how on the right side of the highway, how a fire just went from nothing. I mean, just started blazing out, and they said that the fire jumped from across the road over, but yet there was nothing, no debris flying, nothing like that. I know that a lot of people, myself included, you know, we think that there's something very nefarious that what was happening from above. But then I started thinking about it, and I still believe that, but I think there's a second part to that. And I don't know, I don't have many people watching my videos, and hopefully anybody who does watch it can pass it along and find out, and maybe, you know, one of these big content creators could, you know, collaborate with me. But I'd like to know if anybody on Hawaii in the past, I say month or two, have noticed anything strange coming from up above during early in the day, the middle of the day, late at night, any kind of spraying going on, thinking that maybe it's spraying for bugs or whatever the case is. Any kind of mist that has been sprayed, and the people were told that it was something different. And the reason why I say that is because, you know, it almost seems like this fire was mapped out, and it had like an extra accelerant to it. In other words, it's like the old lemon juice trick when you want to send a secret letter to somebody. All you got to do is take a white piece of paper, you take some lemon juice, you take a Q-tip, dip it in the lemon juice, you write it on the piece of paper, okay? It dries up, and then when you stick the piece of paper in a jar and put something that would exacerbate the acid, the letter will show, you know. Or you heat up the paper, and then, you know, whatever you wrote with the lemon, it will show. So basically something like that, but on the ground. Was there something sprayed overhead in the middle of the night that nobody knew about, that just came down, it covered everything? Being that people are inside, of course, they didn't get any kind of skin irritations. Maybe some people did and took it as nothing. Or maybe they came driving around, spraying the ground in certain areas. Because I look at some of this fire, the way it crisscrosses and jumps on the grass, and it's almost as if it was like if something was sprayed, because there's too many patches. If this fire was consuming, I mean, look at the fires in California, the way it eats up everything. And this fire consumed a lot in Maui, but there's too many open patches where it's like that. One of the videos I did with the two cars in the open field, and those two cars are obliterated, and yet around the cars, all the houses and everything, nothing's touched. So where did that fire come from to ignite those two cars? Was it something that they put all over the area, that even with the regular heat itself from the sun was at some point going to ignite this stuff? People need to start thinking outside the box, way outside the box. I mean, how many times do people say, I mean, just regular hay alone can catch fire with nothing, because of the way it basically like ferments, and then the regular sun, the heat of the sun will make that hay ignite. So So it's something for everybody to think about. And I'm trying not to let my videos drag as much, me talking, but these are things that I think about. And if I'm going to put content out there, I need people to understand. I'm not saying you have to agree with me at all. But I mean, I'm putting my ideas in. I'm trying to spread the word, because at the end of the day, thousands of people have died. Don't believe what the news is saying. The probability of only 113 people perishing in this. No, there's too much proof that too many kids are missing, and I'd like to see, where is the outrage? And I've been hearing this from other content creators. Where is the outrage of the parents who survived, whose children are missing and or have perished? How come we don't see? One person sent me a message saying, well, maybe because there wasn't that many that perished. No, or maybe it was that the death toll is actually in the thousands. And I said that in one of my other videos. Okay, that if there was 2,000 children missing, and let's just say a third of those parents got back home, 500 of them, to pick up the kids, they didn't make it out. And they picked up 1 to 2 children. That's anywhere between 1,000 and 1,500 people that perished right there alone. That perished. So this whole media blackout speaks volumes. The pushback from the powers that be speaks volumes. Don't let this die, people. Don't let this die. But let's continue.
Unbelievable is that they also had a wildfire expert as the guest speaker. And look who posted about this on their social media. None other than Herman Andaya, the man who did not sound the sirens. Taking a closer look at the photos from that seminar, you will see Maui Governor Josh Green in attendance, Mayor Bisson, as well as Herman Andaya, who is very busy taking notes on what to do should there be an emergency like a fire. Emergency Response Director 4 months ago at a disaster preparedness conference in Maui, talking specifically about fires. Now that Herman Andaya has resigned, the sirens are finally starting to go off.
Something very interesting happened the other day. There was a brush fire in Kaanapali.
Okay, you see what I'm saying? What I was saying about, you see a lot of this in Maui, in the fire zone. Just patches. Now, it's safe to say that in this area maybe there was dirt and grass. So of course, there was just patches of grass. But if you look at the way certain things have burned, it just makes no sense. If you look at the way things liquefied, it makes no sense because of the heat. Now, people are still saying that, there's a lot of people going online saying, well, I've been a firefighter and I've, done this and I've seen burnt cars and things melt all the time. I did scrapping for a good stretch, making very good money. And I will always frequent to, the junkyards where they keep the cars at, and I've come across a lot of cars that you knew they were in horrible fires. Okay? And we were still looking for parts, gas tanks, rims, stuff like that. Now, of course, it's safe to say that, with the high winds, and the gasoline in the cars, made those cars, it was almost like a blowtorch, so a lot of those cars burned. But it doesn't make sense when some of the cars that I pointed out, it's like the rest of the paint job is fine, and the back of the car is scorched, and yet nothing else around the area has burned. So what started the fire in that vehicle if there's nothing else around it? You see what I'm saying? I mean, there's just too many inconsistencies. And to have the police chief, the governor, the mayor, that other buffoon that he just mentioned, all there for a summit on fires, on wildfires weeks before. And for Biden, with his, he has motor mouth. His brain is going one way, his mouth is going the other, but they're connecting at one point just to prove, the the corruption that that he's involved in, it's like, why was that person that you sent to Hawaii there weeks before? And the more stuff like this comes out, the more it just seems like it's been planned. Their best bet is to just stay shut and just man up to the fact that they messed up and leave it at that, because I'm noticing the more they open their mouths, the more they're sticking their foot in it and the less sense they're making. But let's continue.
Which is just north of Lahaina town where the main fire was, and they sounded the alarms. Now, I just made a video a couple days ago about how sounding the alarms would have been helpful during the Lahaina fire, and the government claimed that if they sounded the alarms, people would run into the fire up the mountain, because according to the government, the public was trained to think it was a tsunami, and even when they opened up their doors and they saw fire and smoke, billowing smoke, and smelled the smoke and heard the fire and felt the heat, even then, somehow they would run up the mountain and jump into the fire because they thought a tsunami was coming, which I think is a ridiculous idea. And apparently they decided it's a ridiculous idea too, because they reversed themselves and sounded the alarms for this fire. So not sure why they changed their minds, but guess how many people went out their front doors and jumped into the fire because they thought there was a tsunami? 0. So apparently many of us were right about this, but sadly that doesn't help anyone who died in the Lahaina fire.
Will Kane tweeted, "Word in Lahaina is that they'll have to scrape 6 inches of soil due to toxicity of the burn. This is also a spiritual and historical site. So an entire town razed and scrapped 6 inches into its soul and history is the price of bad planning, bad priorities, and bad politics."
The same waters that our people just died in 3 days ago are the same waters the very next day these visitors, tourists were swimming in. And that says a lot about where their heart and mind is through all of this, and where our heart and mind is though. You don't see our people swimming, snorkeling, surfing. Nobody is having fun in tragedy and continuing their lives like nothing has happened. There is 2 Hawaiis right now. There is the Hawaii we're living in and the Hawaii they're living in, they're visiting in.
Joe Biden.
And the sad part about that is, and I said this again in one of my other videos, that they're cleaning up the evidence. When has anybody ever heard during a fire that they needed to scrape up, 6 inches of soil? That's what I'm saying, that they're cordoning off that area, and I don't want to believe it, but my gut tells me when they bring those barricades down, everybody's going to go back to a giant parking lot, and that is going to be such a mind. I'll just say that's going to be such a mind fuck on everybody that has suffered. I said it in one of my other videos that when 9/11 happened, so many people volunteered to go down there to rescue. And then the jackboots came in and they started just bulldozing tons and tons and tons of debris, throwing them on boats, on ships, and just shipping it off to China. Where, I have to admit, thousands of people, from police officers to fire department, EMS, civilians, politicians, everybody was like, whoa, what are you doing? This is a crime scene. We need to investigate. They needed to clean it up. They didn't want nobody to find proof that it wasn't just the planes that brought those buildings down. And this is what they're doing in Maui. They're cleaning up a crime scene, and they know it's a crime scene. And I'll show you how bad it's gotten, but let's continue with this.
And called on FEMA to, quote, finish the job.
And those out on Maui, it's amazing. You've seen it. Some of you have been there. It's just pure devastation. That whole part of the island is just leveled. There's nothing left. Every American expects FEMA will show up to finish the job in Maui and elsewhere.
I don't know if finish the job is the best choice of words. I also don't know if $700 per affected household is going to do anything for the people while they see BlackRock-owned Hawaiian Electric getting $95 million. As Biden said, that money will be used to harden the power grid, or the smart city power grid. Survivors of the fire are still saying that there is no relief being provided for them.
Can you tell us what life has been like for these nearly 20 days after this fire? How are you both doing?
It's been tough, not only emotionally, but financially. We feel like we're not really getting any of the assistance that we need, which a lot of other people feel the same way. We are the 50th state here, and we're not being treated like we're U.S. citizens. We feel like we just got out of a fight for our life. Now we're back in another fight for our life, to find home, to find a place to rest our head just that night. We were not getting any help from federal government so far. Some people, I'm guessing, are getting the 700. We never received the 700, which, I mean, wouldn't go very far here in Hawaii.
Do you feel that the federal government has your back? Do you feel that you're getting the help you need?
No, absolutely not. And if you probably ask most locals, I can't speak for everybody, but we feel like we're not getting any help out here, at least from the federal government.
Members of the House Freedom Caucus have threatened to shut down the government if their demands are not met. Amongst the demands included from the House Freedom Caucus are opposing to a blank check for Ukraine. The White House has asked Congress to provide more than $13 billion for Ukraine in emergency defense aid and an additional $8 billion for humanitarian support. Marjorie Taylor Greene said, FEMA is underfunded by $4 billion. Georgia Emergency Management Agency, GEMA, is only funded $1 per Georgian. Hawaii's Lahaina is in desperate need of help from devastating fire killing 50+ people, and America is broke. Biden wants to send another $24 billion to Ukraine. No. A government...
I tell you one thing, I stand with that. I never fell for what's going on in Ukraine. I don't stand with Ukraine. I'm sorry. And if I offend people, then you know what? I'm not saying that I want Ukraine, to suffer, or Ukrainians to suffer. No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, you know what? This is something that Trump warned about, and Trump kept his nose out as best he could, because he wanted Russia and Ukraine to work things out. Since this whole thing started with Ukraine, I mean, Biden and the powers that be, and this is what people are not understanding, man. His son was doing business with Ukraine. Okay? What's going on in Ukraine, not trying to downgrade whatever war there is, it's hard to tell, since Zelensky, same thing, total media blackout. No social media. I mean, locking people up, and, some people are sneaking out videos, and some of those videos, I mean, I look at them and I'm like, where's the war? People are walking around, people are shopping, people are at pool parties, and I'm like, not for nothing, but if Ukraine's at war, what part of Ukraine's at war that the other part is just having a good old time? And yet we see the devastation here on our soil, and Biden just wants to keep sending money to Ukraine. Let it be known that the Democrats and the Rhino Republicans don't give a flying rat's ass about Americans. But let's continue.
And shutdown means that aid to Maui will cease. Families and businesses in desperate need of financial help to get through this crisis, they'll be cut off. If the government shuts down, that can create many challenges for relief for people in Maui.
Who can help me? Who can help the people in my canoe, yeah? I don't want to say to the people or everybody, oh yeah, we all in the same boat. No way. The people in Lahaina, they're in a completely different boat. Their boat burned down. They no more boat. But there's another group of us that is in a different boat, and we sinking, and we need help.
Locals say this reminds them of what it looks like during the pandemic. And Congresswoman Jill Tekuda told federal lawmakers earlier this week that the crisis that we are facing now right here in the Valley Isle needs a pandemic response from Washington, D.C.
We're going to end today's video right there. If you feel like...
It's just horrible, and it's, like I said, it's only going to get worse. and I truly believe that the police chief knows something. He's either in on it or he knows something. The mayor, the governor, the powers that be, people in our government, people in the government, you know, in Hawaii. And I knew it was going to start getting ugly, but damn, this is on a whole level. And I'll show you what I mean. Okay, pay attention. This is like in the first 5 minutes, everybody knows this man, Hawaii real estate. Look at the way he's treated by the police. Meanwhile, we had the police chief a few days ago saying how much he loves Hawaii. He loves his, you know, he loves his officers and this and that. This right here, I mean, I truly hope people are still watching, you know, are still watching this video. This should infuriate everybody, because the level of how can I say, the level of disgust has reached a new a new level. Look at the way he is being treated by the police, and it breaks my heart, because it's like, you know, even on a small island, the powers that be, the wicked, you know, they have jackboots everywhere. And all these officers that you're going to see in this video should be ashamed of themselves. And they should be outed. In all honesty, I'm not saying harmed or nothing like that, but they should be outed. You know why? They need to lose their jobs, in my opinion. Look at the way they treat this man. Here we go.
Okay, hang on. Just so I get it for the record. People are asking why we can't park and look at these images and take pictures. I just need to know what the law is that says we can't do it. What law?
Even though there's a emergency proclamation, you cannot park or walk on the bypass. Thank you.
What law do I reference? What law do I reference?
Okay, that's the first officer saying that it's a proclamation, emergency, whatever the hell they're talking about. Meaning that nobody can go anywhere near the area. There's already been people, you know, speaking out that they've been arrested for going back to their own property to go see damages. They're being arrested and fined. When has anybody ever heard that before after a disaster? I've never heard of anybody, only people that are looting. I've never heard of anybody getting arrested after going back after a natural disaster to their property to assess damages. It gets better. Watch.
What law do I reference? Auditors, we need you here. I don't know if I'm live. That was fast. What law do you reference? I just want to know what law. Now she's calling somebody in.
And just so people know, I don't know if you've seen in the background that burnt car. I believe this was the area where he was videotaping. I showed in one of my other videos. All this right here is gravel. That car was on the side of the road, and it burned so bad that it melted. I mean, a lot of parts melted. So where did that fire come from? No trees, no nothing. This is gravel. It's on the side of the road and it burnt. How? How, people? How? There's a highway here. Even if there was embers and trees flying, there's gravel. This is not all grass. This wasn't all grass. This is some of the burnt stuff. This is all gravel, and that vehicle is on the side burnt. And he made a separate video on that. Wake up, people. But let's continue so you can see how these cops, in my opinion, have gone rogue, and they've already picked a side.
Emergency proclamation. Are they going to arrest me? What are they going to do? I'm just taking a stand. I'm just asking what law. That's all I want to know. I just want to know what.
I'm not going to ask you again.
Okay, I just want to know
You need to
what.
leave now.
Can you say what law?
You need to leave now.
What regulation?
You need to leave now.
So you're not going to
Get
tell.
back in your car and leave now, or you will be arrested underneath this proclamation.
Okay, so it's.
Do you see how disgusting that is? You need to leave now. You need to leave now. You need to leave now. Or you will be arrested under the what fucking proclamation? This woman right here, I'm sorry, is disgusting. This officer, this cop right here is disgusting. I'm sorry. And the rest of them that come, and I'll show you, they're disgusting. That's it. There's no other words to say. You know why? Because they're supposed to be Hawaii and Maui strong. I never thought, in the big cities, you got your bad cops, your good cops. In the little towns, you got your bad cops. But in a place like Hawaii, you would think that they were all band together. But I guess that's what I get for being gullible, for thinking like that. And I'm sure there's a lot of people right now in Hawaii, and especially in Maui, that are being treated like shit by the cops. And it's not surprising, considering who's their boss. But let's continue.
So it's a proclamation.
It's an emergency proclamation.
Okay, thank you. Emergency proclamation. Oh, can I get your name and badge number, please? Name and badge number. Name and badge number. Name and badge number. Okay. No name and badge number. Can I get your name and badge number? Nope. Okay. No name and badge number. Just trying to find out what law says I can't stop and take pictures or stop and go on the highway. I'm just asking what law it is. That's all I want to know.
We were told because of the emergency proclamation that
Okay.
vehicles can stop and take pictures.
That's all I was asking her, and she's like freaking out on me. I just want to know what law says we can't stop here.
Are you with the company or?
No, I'm just a citizen. I live in Kanapali, and I just want to know what law says we can't do it. We have a right. We have a constitution that says we have the right to press. We have a right to. We have a right to be on this. This is a public road. But I'm just trying to find out what law we are following here. That's all I'm just asking that question. What law says we can't? What law do we tell people they can't stop here?
Let me call my lieutenant.
Just all I'm asking. What law? I'm not trying to create any problems. I'm just asking a real simple question. I don't want to get arrested. I'm not breaking the law, I don't think. Don't you have to tell me what law I'm breaking?
Yeah, where's your front license plate?
I don't know.
Can I see your registration and insurance, please?
Okay.
You see right there, I would have told him, for what? Why do you want to see my license and registration? Do you see the way the cops are pushing back? They're being told to do that. And I know some people are going to be like, well, they're being told to do it. Bullshit. Your first priority is your oath to the Constitution, to the people, not to the police force, not to the military, not to the government, to the people. Remember that. We live in a constitutional republic. And you take an oath to uphold the laws of the Constitution against all threats, foreign and domestic. This man is not doing anything that's a threat. He is exercising his First Amendment right, freedom of the press, to find out information. Now, some people will say, well, he doesn't live there. It does not matter. They're doing this to people that live there also. All those cops should be ashamed of themselves. They should give up their badge and walk away. Because I tell you what, if I personally knew one of these cops, I'd wait till he get off from work, him or her, I go to their house and say, lose my fucking number. Okay? Because you're a fucking disgrace. You're a disgrace to the badge, and you're a disgrace to society, the people that you're supposed to protect. It doesn't surprise me that people are pushing back, saying, no, there was no roadblocks. No, there was roadblocks. It doesn't surprise me there was roadblocks. Does anybody see how all this is falling into place? They knew who they were going to get to do the dirty work. They're cleaning up the crime scene. And they got their jackboot goons out here on the outside, stopping people from finding out. I'll leave a link in my description so you guys can see the rest of this. But remember, people, this is going to get worse. And like I said, I will not be surprised one bit if when they pull down those barricades, when they pull down all that fencing, that whole area is going to be flat. And I'd like to see who's going to show up then. I'm True Outlaw Patriot. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, give it a thumbs up, pass it around. Pray for the people in Maui, in Hawaii. Pray for these cops also. I have to admit. Pray that God will touch their hearts and show them the humanity that's greater than the wicked ones that they serve. Stay vigilant, keep praying, and keep praying for each other. Peace.